Hey guys, it's Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the channel and the emergency storage shed for this week's episode. It doesn't matter that Christmas is here, nothing gets in the road of this obligation of cleaning out this shed. Otherwise we'll never get there. So in the last video I put up, I wished you all a Merry Christmas. It might not even be Christmas yet, depending on where you are watching this. Thanks for all your well wishes, and I know you've all appreciated the videos throughout the year, although some of you have told me. I've appreciated all you guys watching, so thanks, and we'll forge ahead into next year. This channel is just going to get better and better, I hope. Certainly I'm going to persist with it. Whether my subscribers catch up to Christine's is another story. Anyway, let's get back into this shed. We have to get something out of here for this week, and we've started on that back wall of boxes there. When I say back wall, it's not the back wall of the shed. That's a further, I don't know, we're about halfway, I think, as far as that wall goes. We've got to get some more stuff off there, get it into the bench, unpack it, work out what to do with it, probably get some of it into the shop to sell. I might find some treasures that I want to keep. Who knows? Let's go and check it out. The last episode actually opened up a fair bit of a gap up here, which is great. So I'm just going to keep going down this centre pile for now, and then we'll work out where to go from there. Fortunately, this grey shelf here has been uncovered, and I had a job for a welder recently, so that was perfect. There's a welder sitting on the shelf. My other welder's sort of buried in my workshop and I can't get to it, so I now can honestly say this welder works beautifully. I might hang on to it, I'm not sure. Anyway, we're not working on that shelf at this stage, but it's handy to be able to access that welder. Next tub here is this one. I can see some various, oh, it looks like paintbrushes. So various shed stuff, I would imagine. We need to keep working down this pile because there's clearly a fair bit of weight. And I just need to get all these tubs gone. Then we can perhaps tackle the TV. It looks like there might be some cans of spray paint in this one. That spray paint? Yeah, it appears to, oh, it's degreaser. Okay. There's some fuel cans. There's a couple of milk crates up the top with, it looks like more domestic stuff. I can see some pottery canister, something wrapped in paper. That could be interesting. I'm not sure what they are in that tub. They could be, I don't think they're DVDs. They're more likely to be games, computer games perhaps. Don't know what's in any of the other tubs. There's another old CRT TV up there. So it's getting interesting. Well, it's always been interesting. Who knows what's in this box right in front of us? Let's take it through to the workbench. Now, I think this is a box of stuff out of my old workshop from behind my shop. So it's going to be sort of workshop sundries. There's obviously paintbrushes. There's just bits and pieces. So we'll go through it. I kept a lot of stuff, you know, because it might be handy one day. And having been in the same spot for, well, almost 20, a bit over 20 years actually, I never got around to sort of sorting it out. So now that I'm in this place, I don't want to accumulate a lot of stuff that just might be handy one day. I am keeping some things, but we are getting pretty tough. And that's the whole premise of this video series, is to clean out stuff, to declutter, to sell stuff I don't want, and make decisions rather than just saying, oh, I might keep that and just put it aside again. You never get anywhere if you do that. So let's go through this box and make some decisions. Right, after saying that, I'm keeping paintbrushes because I use them. I've been actually making a couple of shelves for the girls' cafe recently, and I've needed some old brushes. Plus I use them for washing up parts in old petrol, and the more functional my workshop gets, the more I'm going to need tools of the trade, you know, for washing up stuff in degreaser or for staining a piece of timber for a job. And I've been doing that a bit lately. I didn't know I had these brushes there. That's clearly just a dustpan brush. The little brushes are handy. These little paint brushes are handy as far as using solder flux and that sort of stuff. I use them quite a bit for painting flux and acids and stuff around. Sort of one use only, but you know, it's handy to have a stock of them because you use them and then you can throw them out or throw them in the fire because they're mostly timber. So we'll keep that little pack of brushes. The rest of this tub, well, we have some grinding wheels or discs off a small angle grinder. That's obviously a new Makita one, never been used. Some of these are quite worn down, so I'm unlikely to keep those. And some of them I've probably got out of people's sheds, and they're not going to suit my grinder. So we do have to be careful dealing with these ones because you never quite know if they're cracked or not, and I can't sell them and then have someone buy one of these from the shop and take it home and not check it and just put it on his grinder, and suddenly the thing shatters and throws shrapnel all around the shed. Very dangerous. Even with a guard on an angle grinder, still can be dangerous when these things explode. So unfortunately, second-hand grinding wheels, if you don't know how they've been treated, probably shouldn't be, especially these smaller ones. There's no life left on those at all. So I think I'll probably have to throw those ones in the bin. Perhaps these couple of new ones I might hang on to here. They don't actually fit my Makita grinder, but they might fit another one I've got. But any that are second-hand and clearly well worn down, I think I'm going to throw out. And as I said, I can't safely sell them. There's a lot of old ones in here. There's a bolt, we'll hang on to that. There's some Teflon tape for plumbing. I've got some of that, but I'll keep that bit. Oh, that's the cap for it. And more well-worn grinding things. I don't know why I kept all those. And a tool for the grinder. I don't think that fits mine. I'll have to check that. All right, well, that's probably dealt with those. What's in this little container? We have, oh, they're glue sticks for a glue gun, which I have got one, so they will be useful. Yes, I know, I'm keeping them because they'll be handy one day, but they are consumables. They're workshop consumables. We have some sanding discs for a belt sander, or not discs, belts actually. And I've got a couple of belt sanders, so again, they're consumable, and most of those, I think they're all, oh, some of them have been used, but they're still quite good. So I'll hang on to those, make sure they fit my belt grinder, but I have got a couple of different, belt sander. I have got a couple of different ones, so I think they will fit. There's a sanding disc. So this sort of stuff I will hang on to because it's stuff that I use. And also there's these mesh sanding discs. I think they're really good for removing old paint. There's quite a stack of these. I do remember finding these in someone's shed, and I thought I'll hang on to these because they will be probably quite useful if I'm taking paint off something. So again, that's a consumable thing that I will use in the workshop. These are all brand new, never been opened, and they were $2.55. I had no idea what they would cost now. They're non-clogging for, yeah, removing paint and sanding back things, so that will certainly be useful. All right, we have in here, oh, there's a hot glue gun. Okay, I've got one of those, so that one can go to the shop. I better test that one, but we'll get rid of that one. Probably just, we might get $5 for it. Here's a really nice old spotlight. Bakelite handle, Watco. An old style Hella sealed beam. It's a little loose in the clamp. Switch on the back. And it looks like the wiring went in there. So I might take the globe out of this. We'll see if it works. It'll be 12 volts. It'll draw a fair bit of current, I would imagine. But that's going to be a saleable item. I don't need to keep that. But that's a nice vintage spotlight. Another little sanding disc. We have some wheels off something. Like a Tonka truck. That one's actually broken. The hub's broken. I don't think that one's been squashed. I think they're just random wheels. That's a solid rubber one that suits Boomeroo toys, which are Australian-made toys. So someone will probably have a use for that one. That's just a little solid idler type wheel. Don't think it's off a toy, that one. So that's all the wheels in there. Certainly the Boomeroo toys one I'm not going to throw out. That one, both those I think I will. They're not much good. And that little heavy idler type wheel can go to the shop. I do have a box of random wheels for $5 each. So we'll put those in there. Don't know if they'll get that for them, but you never know. Okay, we have some needle files. They are always handy. I'll put them in my toolkit. A couple of handles, like for a vintage bicycle. I think I would have kept these for a bottle probe. I've made a few bottle probes over the years, which is just a thin spring steel piece of metal with a point on the end, but then a little ball bearing welded on the point, and you push it into the ground to find where the old bottles are buried. Many of you that have been around my channel for a while know I'm a bottle collector. I haven't been out digging for many years, what with shoulder surgeries and all that sort of stuff. What am I going to do with those? I think I'll take them to the shop and just put them in the dollar box. Someone that's restoring an old bike might have a use for them. A jar of little domed washers. These are usually nickel plated, and they suit the little straight slot screws that go in vintage items. I have got some of those screws somewhere. They're slightly domed screw and they suit these domed washers. I'll certainly hang on to those because I use those in projects quite often. A large square file doesn't feel all that good. I have a box of files at the shop though for a couple of dollars each, so we'll take that to the shop. We have some coping saw blades. Well, I will keep those. Again, they're workshop consumables. Some good scissors, shearing scissors. I think I've got enough in the shed. They can go to the shop just in the dollar box. I use the dollar box to get rid of a lot of stuff. Little G-clamp, or you can never have enough clamps in the shed. I have a box of G-clamps. Some more little sanding things. These suit your little, I'm not sure what they're called. A little finishing sander, but they've got the little triangle thing. They're a Velcro fit. I've got one of those somewhere, so I'll keep these. What's in here? Looks like we have blades. Oh, these are blades for a scraper. Handy for cleaning down windows. I do use a scraper with these sort of blades for cleaning off painting or glass over prints. It just gets all the fly spots off. They're very sharp and they sit really flat on the glass and clean all the debris off before you just run over it with the glass cleaner. So I've got the holder for those, so we'll keep the spare blades. Lots of consumables in this box. Some very fine tie wire, extremely fine. I will hang on to that. That's a little handle for a hacksaw blade so that you can use the hacksaw without the actual frame. The blade itself's no good, but the handles are quite handy sometimes, if you pardon the pun, for getting into really fine little spots where you can't possibly get a hacksaw blade or a hacksaw frame into it. So that can go in the toolkit, but I'll throw the blade out. The blade's no good. Here we have a copper pipe flaring tool. And I've used one of these a fair bit over the years for plumbing jobs. So you basically clamp the end of the copper pipe in through the right size hole for the pipe and clamp it down. And then you give these a thump with a hammer, whichever pipe you're working on, and it flares the end out. You can see they're a cone shape. But you have to make sure you put the fitting on the pipe first, otherwise you've got to cut the end off and do it again. So that's a useful tool that's going with my plumbing stuff here. A clock key, well, I'm certainly going to hang on to that. I've got a jar for clock keys. That's a rubber sealing washer out of an older style jerry can. Still feels okay. So it can go in the dollar box at the shop. These, I've got some handles off serving trays, and these are the little mounting brackets for the handle. And each end of a vintage timber serving tray, I've got some handles somewhere. Occasionally I pick up those trays and they need these parts, so I'll put those with the other bits that I've got. Just a nozzle for a tube of silicone or something like that. I'll keep that because I use them. A bit more tie wire. We have a handful of cable ties. I'll put them in my box for cable ties. There's a clip. Is that a Fowler's jar clip? It is. Now I think that suits the old Fowler's jars with a flat lid with 4 indentations on it. I forget what size they are, but I do have a box of Fowler's stuff at the shop. I'm not sure if those clips are hard to get or not. Some of the Fowler's clips are very difficult to get. I'll just put that one aside. I'll take it to the shop. I don't need it here, but I'll try and work out if that's a difficult size to get. I've only got the one in this box. Broken bit of plastic. A couple of these little, hang on, I'll get rid of that other stuff in my hand. These are little flame spreaders from little Kero pressure stoves, I think. And they just go in the burner area. I think that's what they're off. They're off something like that. If I'm incorrect, let me know in the comments. But I think they're called a flame spreader. They might be out of a little lamp, a pressure lamp, something like that. Anyway, I'll take them to the shop as well. A couple of tiny little D-clamps, they're possibly even stainless steel. I will use those at the shop because I'm starting to chain up a lot of lights from the ladders that we have up in the roof, so they're handy for joining chain. And a Sharpie texter. Is it any good? Yeah, it looks okay. Alright, I'll put that in my workshop. That empties that little tub. We have a few other bigger things in this one. Okay, what else have we got in here? Well, there's an ice cream container full of very thin brass. It's like shimming brass, extremely thin, and there's other pieces of it. That's some very fine brass mesh. There's some copper sheet, very thin though, no weight in it at all. Some more brass and some more thin copper. You can hear how thin it is. So this stuff's really handy for shimming, which if you don't know what shimming is, oh, there's some fine mesh. It's probably stainless steel mesh. Shimming is when you have to just alter the height of something under a bolt by, you know, a couple of thousandths of an inch or a you know, point something of a millimeter. So you can make some very fine adjustments with this sort of stuff. So I'm going to hang on to that. It will be certainly handy in the workshop. I know I wasn't going to say that, and I seem to be saying it about everything in this box. But this is workshop type stuff that you need. Otherwise you've got to run out to the shops to buy it again or whatnot. And that's going to be handy stuff at times, I'm sure. Okay, we have a jar, an old coffee jar with some rusty nails in it. Why will I keep rusty nails? Well, you know the amount of old timber boxes that I sell through the shop that need a couple of extra nails in it. And nothing looks worse to my mind than a couple of new shiny nails in an old box. I know that probably sounds a little bit picky, but then again, I'm the sort of person that hates seeing a Phillips head screw in an old piece of furniture. I like the old original slot screws. We'll keep the rusty nails to fix up some boxes. I certainly will use them. We have another of these tools. This is for something much larger than my angle grinder. It actually has a part number on it. I don't know what it suits, so I'm pretty sure it doesn't suit anything that I need. Possibly it suits a much larger angle grinder like a 9-inch grinder. We'll take that to the shop. It can probably just go, well, we might put $5 on it because someone might actually need one of those. And I'm sure they'd cost you a bit if you had to order one from a manufacturer. Piece of timber here looks to be the handle off some old hedge trimmers. I don't think I really need to keep that. The timber's, oh, it looks like it might even have some bore holes in it. All right, that might have to be firewood. Speaking of timber boxes, this is a box pretty roughly made and it's been split along the hinges and nailed back together again. Looks like it's a nice oak, or maybe a blackwood. But yeah, it's damaged. It has been split off and reattached. It's obviously had some dividers in here, and one end is actually a piece of plywood, so it's probably not really that good. I might, well, I get $5 for it. I might put it in the shop for $5 and see how we go. Someone may decide to buy it and fix it up. It is nice old timber, except for this bit of ply. We'll try $5 on it. The other thing I could do is I can actually use it in the shop to put things to sell. Then I really don't have to worry about the price of the box. I can always add $5 to whatever's in there. You know, it might be a selection of D-shackles or something. Probably not, because I wouldn't have them that many in one box. And then whatever I price it at, I can always tack $5 on to cover my box price. So we'll use that at the shop. So yes, we have some more D-shackles here. The little ones I will, as I said, take to the shop and use. Some of them are missing their bolts. Some of them have got a wrong sort of bolt through them. But there's a couple of proper good D-shackles here. We'll be able to sell those. We'll probably get $5 each for the bigger ones. And also one of these locking pins that you see on tractor 3-point linkage setups. I'm not sure what they're called. I do have a jar of those at the shop. When I get half a dozen in the jar, I'll probably sell them. So that can all go to the shop. I don't need to keep any of that here. Another jar in here, and this one has hinges in it. And I don't need to keep all these hinges here, so we'll probably take that to the shop and maybe put $5 on it. There are some nice brass ones in here. I might separate those out because I think I can get a bit more for brass hinges. So we'll go through those, check it out a bit later. Oh, there's more hinges in the bottom of the box and some more brass ones. And even some new in packet. And we have lots of cable ties. Okay, well they're cool. The smaller ones I'll take to the shop and I actually use when I'm bundling up, when I'm selling electrical stuff and I bundle up the cables and usually put a small cable tie around it. So that's a handy size. Possibly even those ones. Oh, that one's got half-size ones in it as well. So I'll take these to the shop where they will be used. I have got enough here in my shed now. Okay, down the bottom we have a cute little hammer. It looks like it could have even been out of a child's toy set, although it's quite a good solid one. Little surface rusty. I think that's probably worth buffing up, and I think we'd probably get $10 for that. The handle's in good nick. It's a rubberized handle. And yeah, that's quite a nice little hammer. I don't think it was a toy. If it was very well made and perfectly usable. Alright, we have some old sponges here. I might as well use those when I'm cleaning up rather than throw them straight out. I do go through quite a few sponges. And all the ones we use in the Airbnb next door, when we're finished with them in there, I use them for my cleaning up. Another really tiny little hammer here. This one looks particularly cheap, but we might still get a few dollars for it at the shop. A ruler here, and it's looks like a fairly good quality, like a Draftsman ruler, W&G. It doesn't appear to have any notches out of the sides, so we might be able to sell that. Probably not worth a great deal. And the rest of this box, other than a few more hinges and a hook, the rest of this box is old handles. Unused handles. So we have probably engineer's hammer handle, and that one is actually marked with a broad arrow. Department of Defense handle, perhaps? Oh, I know what that might be. That might be one of those entrenching tool handles. I thought they had a metal sleeve on them, but maybe the sleeve's missing. So I think that might be one of those handles. Not sure. It's got to be worth something with a broad arrow on it. The rest of them I think are like little tomahawks or hatchets, I guess you'd call them. That's a hammer handle. So these are all brand new. And they appear to be in pretty good quality timber. Oh, that one's second hand. That's been used. It's probably not much good, that one. That's a nice one. And another more of a hickory style handle, probably for a hammer of some description, or maybe even a rubber hammer. That one perhaps. It's got a fairly large neck on it. So what are we going to, I'll have to work out what I'm going to do with those. I probably don't need to keep them all here. So I think we'll sell those. We could probably go $5 each. I'm not sure what a handle is worth to buy these days. I'll have to check that out. That's the end of our tub. We better clean up the workbench. We haven't got much to sell this time. Alright, I haven't got to the notepad as yet, but I've been cleaning things up and sorting things out. I think I'll sell some of these hinges separately. I should get $5 for the brass ones. There's 3 pair there. These ones are off a early cabinet, probably 1950s. Someone might be interested in those at $5 a lot. There was 2 good D shackles and 1 smaller one, so maybe 5, 5 and 3. That sort of stuff I actually sell more because people need it at the time rather than how much I've priced it at. These handles, I think I'll go $5 each on all of those. But this one I've just cleaned up with some methylated spirits and steel wool. You can clearly see the broad arrow on there. And I'm fairly sure it's an entrenchment tool handle. They actually make reproduction handles to suit the old tools because they're quite collectible. It could be, I think they made them World War I and World War II, both Australian and British. I don't know if other countries had the same thing, but I'm going to put $20 on that because it's a nice original handle. Looks in good condition, although I think I mentioned earlier, I think they were supposed to have a metal sleeve around the top. But it's quite possible someone's got one that's either had borer or been burnt or damaged some way and they've still got the metal sleeve part. So we'll try 20 on that. The hot glue gun is working, as you can see right now. So that's fine. I'll put $5 on that. The Spotlight's a beauty. It's a Watco brand. I'm going to just wire it up and make sure it works. We'll do that next. I think I'm probably going to go about $45 on that. And the rest of the stuff will just sundries I'm not allowing anything for. They're all going to the shop. Paintbrushes I'll use here, as I mentioned. And a lot of this other stuff I'll just distribute to where it needs to go. Some will go to the shop. Some will go into my shed here, but really not much value at all in all that pile. Righto, let's tidy this all up. I'll get the notepad out, but we'll also have a look and see if we can get that Spotlight to go. I've just removed the globe from this Spotlight, and there's no wiring here at all. It's been removed rather than actually cut off or anything. So I can quickly check the switch to see if it works, and we'll put the globe, the sealed beam globe, on my little power supply and make sure that works. Then we'll put it back together. I don't have time to find some wiring for it and find some connectors and plug it all up. I'd rather get this thing finished. So without it actually wired up, I'm probably just going to say ask $30, but we need to make sure this sealed beam works. Okay, we're ready for a test. I have the power supply set at 12 or 12.1 volts. I'm not sure if you'll be able to read these displays through the camera. So we can now hook it up and see if it lights up. It looked okay physically. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. Oh, it's the power supply is current limited, so it's dropped it back to 7 volts. If we turn that up, and we've got to 12 volts, and now it's just drawing a steady almost 4 amps. So these wires will get hot in a minute. So it's working. As I said, it draws a fair bit of current, 4 amps at 12 volts. Time for the notepad, and here I was saying we haven't got much to sell in this episode. Well, we still ended up with $125 worth of stuff, with thanks to the handles. There was $50 in the handles, and the Spotlight for $30. They're the best items. So that's, I decided to sell the glue sticks with the glue gun because I've got plenty of glue sticks here, so that should get $5 because the hot glue guns are pretty cheap to buy. So we'll get 5 for the lot there. And the other things, as mentioned, I kept the smaller D-shackle because it'll be handy for my trailer, so those two at $5 each. I also decided to keep this hammer, only because it's such a good, well-weighted little hammer, and it won't be long, and I'll probably have grandsons want to help me in the shed, so that will be a really good one. Plus, it's nice to use a smaller hammer, just to hammer in braids and tacks rather than the big carpenter's hammer. I would have put $10 on that, but I'll keep that one. I did find out a bit more about this ruler. It's actually a scale ruler, so it has your normal metric millimeters and centimeters on that side. This side it has, it says in meters, but it says on that side 1 to 25, so that's a scale, and on the other side it actually says 1 to 50. So if you're drawing a 1 to 50 scale diagram, as a draftsman might, one of those increments there is 1 meter. From 2 to 3, for example, would be 1 meter at 1 to 50 scale. So probably a very handy ruler for someone that's doing a lot of scale drawings. I'm going to ask $5 for that. I think they were fairly expensive to buy new. It is a W&G brand. I think they were made in Australia. So there we go. We'll go 5 on that. And everything else, as mentioned, I put the Spotlight back together, and it really looks the part. I love the Bakelite handle on it. It's fantastic. So that $125 takes us to over $16,000 now as a grand total from what's coming out of that emergency storage shed that we're selling. We obviously, in this particular box too, got a lot of stuff here which will be handy, a lot of workshop consumables, the little hammer, a small D-shackle, quite a few other bits and pieces, and there's a lot of stuff that's going to the shop just to go in the $1 bin. I did mark down a few of the things that I maybe said $5 for during this video, and in the end I just thought, no, we'll just put them in the dollar box, move them on, sell them quick, make room, clear stuff out, and have happy customers. So there we go. Thanks for watching another episode. Merry Christmas to everyone. This will probably go up here on Christmas Day, so you will get it whenever you get it around the world, or when you get time to watch it after your family's been and left your house in ruins, or however Christmas works out for you. But thanks for watching. I appreciate your support throughout the year. We'll get another video up next week, possibly even before New Year's Eve. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.